Chers auditeurs,
Dear listeners,
bonjour.
welcome in Comme d'Archi Podcast Season 4
Saison 4, dans le monde fascinant des architectes.
and in the architectural projects.
Je suis Anne-Charlotte Deponte, passionnée d'architecture et docteur des universités en histoire de l'archi.
I am one of the spokespersons of Anne-Charlotte, who is a PhD in architecture history.
Merci
Thank you
d'être avec moi aujourd'hui.
to be with us today.
Et
And
maintenant,
now,
lundi en français, place au talent.
and Wednesday, let's talk projects. In English, of course.
Bienvenue dans Comme d'Archi.
Hello everyone. Hello Gabriel Verret.
Hello.
Thank you for being with us today. You are architect. In 2 or 3 sentences, could you introduce us to your architectural practice?
Yes, I am Gabriel Verret. I've been an architect for 7 years now, and we founded COVE Architects with Axel Cornu. A few years back, it was in 2018. We actually met a few years beforehand in the School of La Villette, where we did our diploma together. We also did the same year what we call HMO, HMO, which is the diploma you need in order to be able to create your own firm and also to sign your own projects. So we passed it the same year and we decided to start working together real quick. So since our practice started in Paris, which is already filled with great architects and very few building opportunities, we essentially worked on small flat renovations for starters. So,
But very smart.
you think so?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Well, actually, smart or not, it was quite nice, quite new for us, as we essentially learned in school how to build large projects like public housing developments, public facilities, libraries, museum. It was always big projects, and now we entered something completely different when we started working on those very small projects. But we also realized that the small renovation projects where we were working on didn't have the ability to radically transform the sites in which they were implemented. And that in order for these projects to succeed, we really had to make the most of what was already there. So we really started observing with great attention the buildings in which our interventions took place. Like we were wondering, how was it built? How did it age? How was it used? Who lived in it? And we asked the same questions that led us to consider with great attention the resources that we used in order to make this project come true. So we realized that using local or upcycled materials, for instance, did not only make sense from an ecological point of view, but that it could also allow us to transform a building without harming its character, without degrading its value. So we also realized that we didn't have the right skills as architects to know how these materials were meant to be assembled, how they were meant to be shaped. So their crafting often required ancient or new techniques that only the right craftsmen or women could master. So this is why the knowledge of these craftsmen and women took very early a central part in our production, not only on the working sites, but also on the very early stage of conception. So a few years passed since we created COVE, and our projects grew bigger, going from small flats to entire buildings renovations, building extensions or constructions. But I think that our approach remained the same.
Okay. Thank you very much for this very interesting introduction to your practice. Now, can you tell us about your project Chamboirat?
Of course. The project Chamboirat is quite a special one for us, and it actually required from us a lot of effort, you could say. It's actually a refurbishment and a renovation of an ancient farmhouse in Auvergne, which is a region in the very center of France. This building had been in the same family for generations, and the latest brother and sisters decided to transform it into a suitable house for their holidays. What they had in mind was to create a place in which the whole family could gather for the years to come, and to create a place in which new generations can meet and stay united, even though the family bond grew thinner and thinner with the years. So when we discovered the building, it had a very strong impact on us. It was what we call a longère in French, so a long farmhouse, probably built in the 18th century by farmers which must have had very strong carpenters and mason skills, since the place really was so unbelievable. As soon as we discovered it, we were quite amazed by how high the stone walls were, how complex the framework was, and it really had this kind of rusticity that gave it charm and that we didn't want to destroy, absolutely, with our intervention. So it took us quite a long time to think it over, how we could transform it without damaging this spirit. And along with the clients, we had so many discussions, so many also stages of conception. Because also one of our goals was to be able to transform the building using mostly local and bio-based materials, and also to invite local craftsmen and women to work on it. We kind of had the idea that all of these objectives were strongly connected, that in order to make the right projects, we had to work with the right materials and the right builders. So I think we spent almost 2 years finding the right solution that would also fit with our clients' budgets, a very important point. And it also took us a year to find the right craftsmen and women to work on the building site. But taking this time, I think, allowed us to meet our goals in a lot of ways. For instance, we were able to create new great openings in the building's central parts in order to bring more natural light into it. We could do so using solely stone jambs and solid wood lintels, with techniques quite similar, actually, to the one used at the building time of construction. Frameworks reinforcement were also realized using local wood, extracted from a forest nearby. All the windows were made in wood, also not from a forest nearby, but, well, in wood still. And for the building insulation, we were able to use hemp in the slabs on the wall, which gave the building walls and floors the ability to breathe, you could say, which is extremely important since the house actually suffered from great humidity. And also heating the central part of the building was not an easy task because it was a huge volume of 9 meters high and 10 meters width. So we didn't want to cut this volume in half or anything. We wanted to preserve it the way it was. But so it's really hard to heat such a large volume. So we decided to add an enclosed fireplace, really, really powerful one, and to ask the carpenters to keep all the worn out and replaced wooden parts of the framework, and to cut it in small bits in order to be able to put it in the fireplace when the time comes, and then heat the house this way. So all these things, I think, were made possible because we had the opportunity to work with the right masons, carpenters, and stone cutters. And also we were really happy because we managed to find them within reach of the house. So they knew the region, they knew the place, and they knew the right materials that they could provide. So the construction work is actually in progress, and we'll see the result when it's delivered this summer. So we cross the fingers.
A big moment.
Yeah, I hope it goes well.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye-bye, everyone, and see you next Wednesday for New Comme d'Archi in English. Take care of yourself. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. Thanks to Julien Rebours, sound engineer, who is collaborating with us today. Don't forget to tune in to our previews on Instagram at Comme d'Archi Podcast. If you enjoy this podcast, don't hesitate to promote it by giving it 5 stars and a little comment on Apple Podcast or on your favorite podcast platform. And above all, subscribe to listen to all of our episodes for free. See you soon, and until then, take care of yourself.